our goals, but Senator Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to emphasize your point. This is a hearing to determine who will be the next head of ICE, and so this is about reviewing the perspective, the qualifications, and the experience of the nominee. So that being said, I think, Mr. Vitello, that you would agree. Have I pronounced your name correctly?
Vitello.
Vitello.
Thank you.
I think you would agree as a member of law enforcement that law enforcement, generally speaking, and certainly it would be the case with ICE officers and agents, that a great deal of your power is discretionary. You have limited resources and you make decisions about what you're going to do, but you exercise a great deal of discretion in terms of how you're going to use the limited resources and how you're going to prioritize them. And then understanding that, I think you would also agree that one's perspective and their bias, if they have bias, will influence their exercise of discretion in terms of the power they have and how it will be used and implemented. So I want to return to the question that Senator Peters asked you about the statement you made describing the Democratic Party as liberal-cratic or neo-Klanist, which was, I think the assumption there was that you were comparing it to the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. So you said in response to his question, you're sorry because the words caused offense. So would you not be sorry if no one was offended by your words?
No, it was wrong to do.
Why was it wrong?
Because those are offensive words.
Why are they offensive?
Because they have history in this country, and I honestly did not mean it that way.
But please talk about the history. What is the history that would then make those words wrong?
Well, the Klan was what we would call today a domestic terrorist group.
Why? Why would we call them domestic terrorist group?
Because they tried to use fear and force to change political environment.
And what was the motivation for the use of fear and force?
It was based on race and ethnicity.
Right. Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
Officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no perception.
Are you aware that there's a
that
perception?
puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking you. Are you aware of a perception that the way that the discretion
I see no parallel.
I'm not finished.
I see none.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants and specifically among immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America? Are you aware of that perception?
I do not see a parallel between the power and the authority that ICE has to do its job and the agents and officers who do it professionally and excellently with lots of compassion.
Sir, how can you be the head of an agency and be unaware of how your agency is perceived by certain communities?
There is a lot of perceptions in the media and in the public that are incorrect about the agency.
But the perception exists, would you agree? Whether or not it's correct. And wouldn't you agree then that if that perception exists, there might need to be some work done to correct the perception?
I do want to advocate for the workforce, the vital public safety mission that they have to protect the homeland. And I think more people need to know how valuable they are to the society. So I agree with you on that.
So I understand your point that you want to defend the honor of the good men and women who work in the agency. And I appreciate that point, and I know the vast majority of the men and women who work in the agency do a noble and good job. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the perception. And it seems to me that you would understand that when you use words such as the words you used only 3 short years ago, that would contribute to that perception and is harmful then, is harmful in terms of the mission of the agency and the work of the individuals there. And it is harmful in terms of leading those who are innocent people arriving at our border, fleeing harm. It is harmful to them if they feel they will not be treated by the United States government with dignity and fairness. Do you see that?
I agree that all of the people that we encounter deserve fairness, dignity, and respect in the encounters with our agents and our officers.
Okay. In August, there was a complaint filed with DHS, and the complaint alleges verbal and physical threats, insults, denial of food, and withholding of feminine hygiene products from parents. And these are the parents that were separated from their children, and also, or were about to be. And these parents were also falsely told that their children would be permanently taken from them. Following a hearing on September 18th before this committee, I submitted questions for the record to your associate director, asking about these allegations. I've not received a response. So I'm going to ask you, one, I'm assuming you're aware of the allegations, and I want to know what action have you taken then to investigate the veracity of these allegations?
I don't have the specifics on your request. I know that if you sent a letter to the office on the deputy's testimony, that we're going to put that back for you on the record. I can commit to you that the oversight role that ICE has with our detention centers and what all happens when people are in custody is something that I watch very closely.
So my question is very specific. Are you aware of these allegations, and if so, what action have you taken as the acting director to investigate the veracity of these complaints?
In this specific case, I don't have chapter and verse for you. What I can tell you is that there is...
Do you have any information about what you have ordered to do in the agency to determine whether these allegations, which are serious on their face, are in fact true?
There's a specific protocol when allegations like this come to light. Through the DHS Office of Inspector General. We have the Office of Professional Responsibility.
Sir, what did you do? What did you do to follow up on these allegations? My question is about you.
I can make sure that this allegation is followed up through the protocols.
So you've not done that yet? On
this specific case, I don't know the specifics of this case. I'm happy to get more specifics with you and make sure that it is followed up in a way that is meaningful, using the resources that ICE has.
Okay.
Senator Jones, Senator Hassan's asked to ask one last question.